Hello students, welcome back to classes on object-oriented programming system. So in the previous session we were talking about the basics of object-oriented introduction part. So review of structures. So please go to those who have not watched the video. Please go through the video which I have shared earlier. So there we have considered the declaration of the structure, declaration of members inside the structure, then accessing the members from the structure, right? We have created the date structure earlier with three parameters in it: day, month and year, DMY of type integer namely. When using dot operator, uh, next step is you are supposed to create the object. I mean, you are supposed to create the variable of type particular type of structure, say date, then accessing to each and every member from the structure using dot operator. That's what we have done earlier. For your reference, say here is the things we have, right? This is the way of declaration of the structure and accessing the members from the structure. So next is object oriented programming. Here in object oriented programming we try to model the real world objects. Real world object, the meaning of real world object, what is that? So most real world objects have internal parts and interfaces that enable us to operate them. So these interfaces perfectly manipulate the internal parts of the objects. They also have the exclusive rights to do so. So what is the meaning of internal part of the object and all we have to see. Okay, so let us understand these concepts with the help of an example. Take the case of simple LCD projector. That is what the real world object is, right? It has a fan and a lamp. So LCD projector, it has a fan and a lamp, right? Two internal parts. There are two switches, one to operate the fan and the other one to operate the lamp. Getting no? Two switches, one to operate one part. There are two internal parts we have considered, fan and light or lamp, right? One to operate the fan and other one to operate the lamp. However, the operation of these switches is necessarily governed by the rules. If the lamp is switched on, the fan should be automatically switched itself on, right? Otherwise the LCD projector will get damaged. So light and fan or lamp and fan, there are two internal two objects or parts you can say of the LCD projector we have considered. So whenever the lights are on, fan should be turned on. For the same reason, the lamp should automatically get switched off if the fan is switched off, right? This is the vice versa statement or contradictory statement. If the lights are on, fan should be on. If the lights are off, if the fan is off, light should be turned off. In order to cater these conditions, the switches are suitably linked with each other. The interface to the LCD projector is perfect. Further, this interface has the exclusive right to operate the lamp and fan, right? So this in fact is a common characteristic of all the real world object where they are interrelated to each other. One will be having an effect on other. This is just an example we have taken. Just to go recall the example, that is the projector thing we have considered with the two parameters, lamp and a fan. They are interrelated to each other. Whenever the lamp is on, fan should be on. Whenever fan is off, lamp should be turned off. That is the effect of one object on the other, or one parameter on the other parameter, or one internal part on the other internal part, you can say, right? And this is common in most of all the real world object. So if a perfect interface is required to work on an object, it will also have exclusive right to do so. That is what they are telling. So coming back to the C++ programming, we notice a resemblance between the observed behavior of the LCD projector and the desired behavior of the data structures variable. Here in object oriented programming, that is OOPS, with the help of a new programming construct and a new keyword, associated functions of the data structure can be given exclusive right to work upon this variable. So in additional to structure, we have a feature here in object-oriented programming that is called as class, CLASS. That is what the additional feature of C++ or any of the object-oriented programming. Okay, class. CLASS is the keyword. So we'll be discussing about the class throughout this subject, because first we'll be learning how to declare that class, how to initialize the members, or how to declare and initialize the members, how to access the members from the class, what are the features of the class and all with respect to C++, later from module 2 onwards with respect to Java. Okay, so there are three basic features of object oriented programming. One is abstraction and data hiding. That is what the first, they are called as three building blocks of object oriented programming. The first one is abstraction and data encapsulation, you can say. So wrapping up of data into a set, that is what called as abstraction as well as encapsulation. So we can have the keyword like access specifiers, public, private and protected. Okay, please keep these terms in mind. We'll be discussing much about public data, private data as well as protected, especially about protected with respect to inheritance. Okay, later in the later part of this module. So in the next sessions, please keep this in mind. So we can declare the data as a private. Only the limited members can have accessibility to the private data. You know the general meaning of private. What is public then? Anybody can have an access to public data, right? Protected is quite different, like it is somewhat similar to public, somewhat similar to private. How it resembles the properties of public as well as private will be discussing with respect to inheritance. Okay, the two more features apart from the data abstraction and encapsulation, we have two more features in object oriented programming, that is inheritance, second one, and polymorphism. Inheritance means acquiring the property of parent. So this feature lets us to have the code reusability. You don't have to write the same code repeatedly. You can just inherit the property. Okay, inherit in the sense, this is what the normal scenario you are aware of. So normally children, you can say children will be inheriting the property from their parents. Children will be inheriting the children will be inheriting the properties from their parent, isn't it? So that is what the basic concept of inheritance. So code reusability, this lets us to have the concept called as code reusability. So instead of repeatedly writing the same code, you can just declare some of the unit as the child for the parent. In that case, child can easily acquire the property from the parent. So creation of the object from child, that doesn't make any difference. That means no need to write the property from the parent once again. You can easily access them. That is what the meaning of the inheritance is. Then polymorphism which lets us to have the multiple methods for the common interface. So single interface, multiple method, that is what the definition for the polymorphism. How to achieve these features we'll be discussing in detail, right from the first feature, that is abstraction and encapsulation, followed by inheritance as well as polymorphism. But please keep these three things in mind. So these are called as basic building blocks of object oriented programming. Basic building blocks of object oriented programming. Please keep this in mind. Okay, you can go through the theory part. Whatever I told just now, the same thing they have explained. Okay, now let us try to understand the understand how to write the simple C++ programs. So simple C program, you know how to write, isn't it? So you are writing the header file first. right? Macro it is called as, right? So in case of C, what is the macro you are using? You are using the macro hash include stdio.h. stdio, what is stdio? Standard input output library, which lets us to have the functions like printf, scanf, right? Basic functions required for all the kind of input output operations that are defined, like getS, putS and all, that are defined under the library called as stdio.h in case of C. But in case of C++, please observe here. Hope it is clearly visible. Please observe this part, the thing which I am highlighting now. See, hash include iostream.h. What is iostream then? In case of C++, the similar function, in the sense the input output functions are defined under library iostream. How in case of how in case of C they are defined under stdio.h. No, in the same way in case of C++ they are defined under library iostream.h. Please remember. So you have to include the what, header file or macro as hash include iostream.h. Then the main function is, so in the main function, the same way how you are writing in C, in case of C, no, same way you are supposed to write the main function, void main, variable declaration. So similarly, you are supposed to declare the variable. What is this stands for? There is an integer variable you are declaring, right? X is a variable of type integer with initial value. What is the initial value of X? You are initializing it to 10. Then what is the next step? It indicates similar to printf operation. Please try to understand. Otherwise, you go through the comment line, you will come to know, or putting to the console, okay, to the monitor. So what you are going to output, what you are going to display, see out the value of X. In case of C, it would be, what will be the equivalent statement? You are writing printf in case of C. So printf is replaced by cout. Getting no? So what would be the equivalent statement? Printf, right? You have to have the placeholder. So placeholder, that is %d, comma x. So this would be the equivalent statement in C, but now we are writing the C++ program. This is just for the comparison, just for understanding purpose I am writing here, right? For your understanding purpose or the comparison purpose. So I am writing the equivalent statement in C for the statement highlighted, statement underlined, that is cout x. So what is the meaning of it? Its meaning is you are going to display the value of X. So please observe the operator. So the left shift operator is used with cout and right shift operator is used with cin. Cin so far in this program we did not consider. We'll be considering that also in the coming program, in the next program. So if cout is equivalent to printf, then what will be cin stands for? Cin will be equivalent to printf, isn't it? Sorry, scanf, isn't it? Cout stands for it performs a similar behavior or similar task that is equivalent to printf statement. That is what cout is. So cin should be equivalent to scanf. What does scanf stands for? Reading the data, right? Inputting the data. Easy to understand. Scanf does the inputting task or reading task. So cin stands for inputting the data or reading the data. Okay. Cout stands for displaying of the data. The interesting thing is we are not writing the equivalent placeholders for the integer or any other data type like %d, %c, %f, such type of statements. We are not going to write. We just write the variable name. That's it. That is what the major difference you need to observe. and these operators are important. Left shift operator is equivalent to cout operator, and right shift operator is equal to cin operator. So cout and cin are the functions. So these functions should be used with such type of operators only. Don't use the brackets or parentheses. Okay, cout followed by left shift, that cout stands for cout operator. X, so x, which value you want to display, that you write. Since we have only one variable, that is x, so we are displaying its value since it is already initialized to 10. So what will be the output? 10 is the output, right? Cin, we'll be considering cin as well in the next program. Okay, please keep this in mind. So this is what the equivalent statement for the cout. So what is the equivalent statement? Printf statement. That is what in case of C. Okay, this is for your understanding purpose I have written. Please note down these programs, because we are at the beginning, we are discussing about the introduction part. You should be thorough with C++, C++ syntaxes, and how C++ simple programs, basic programs and all you should be thorough with. Okay, then immediately we'll be moving to the topics of the Java. So both you are supposed to study here in this semester. Okay, please try to understand. If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. Let us consider the different programming examples, including cin, that is what scanf thing is, and all in the next video. Please go through this explanation. Whatever I told, the same thing is explained here, page number 23. Okay, from the PDF what I have shared. Please go through it. If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. See you in, thanks for watching. See you in my next video.